In this video, we'll talk about how to use internal referencing in LaTeX. We've seen how to organize our text in sections and subsections, and we've seen how to input equations and other mathematical expressions, and also figures and tables. But now we need to use all these things to reference all of them inside our text so that we can organize better how to describe what is in our text. In order to do that, we need to attribute labels to all these things, so we need to give names to these sections, subsections, equations and figures. And to give these names we can issue the command label, and inside these curly braces for the labels we'll give a name for it. So for example, I can say this is where my mathematical expressions are. So for us to give names to sections and subsections, we'll do something like this. We'll put a label just after the command section, and for this label we'll give a name to it, something that helps us to remember what it means. And I can put an S here just to organize all my labels that are for sections, for example. So this other subsection here, I can give a label to it as well, and say this is the section where I have my model. For equations we'll need to issue labels as well, and we can put these labels just after we use the command begin equation. So we can have something like that. But instead of now putting S for sections, I can organize all my equations with ec, for example. So we can give a name, a descriptive name for it, something like this. And for this other equation I can give another label to give a name to it, something like this. For figures and tables, we can give a label as well, and in LaTeX usually we give this label right after we set up our caption. So we have our caption here inside these curly braces, and we can give a label for this figure in the same manner that we did for the other. So I can say something descriptive about this, what is inside this figure, something like this. It's important that the names that we give inside the labels are very descriptive, so it helps us understand what they are, but also that they're not very long, because you might want to reference this thing many times in your text. So now that we have all the names, all the labels for these things, we can reference them, we can call them in our text using a specific command for that. So I might want to say that later on in my text somewhere, and give a number to this somewhere, I will do something. And for me to do that, for me to give a specific way to call this section, which in this way I've written here has this number, but it might change if I change the order, or if I put more things before or after. So I will use the command ref for that, which is for reference, and inside these curly braces I will give the name of the section that I want to reference. So for example, in this one I use the math expression name that I gave before. So if I do it like this, and I'll build my my PDF, we'll see that something weird came in here. But if we build it again, and that's something that happens with referencing, we need to always build our PDF twice, we'll see that now the number of this section came here automatically. And if for some reason I include another section for it, so if I say that I have another section before, I need to add something that I haven't seen for, because my reference is to the name of this section and not to the number of it, I can have my PDF showing exactly the number of this section that I want. Because remember, it's this section here that I gave the label to it. So the number that I have here regarding this command will be relative to this section. So this section is section number 3. Number 3 comes in here. And I can do that for all the other things. I can say that these equation here is related to this figure that I can reference as well. And if I build this, we'll see that now equation 3, which is the equation to which I gave this name, so it's this equation here, number 3, the number comes in here, and that's related to the figure schematic, which is the name that I gave to this figure there. So that's how we do referencing in LaTeX. We issue labels, we give name to these labels, and then we can reference these labels later by using the ref command. And you've seen that in this way we need to build twice our PDF so that numbers come out right. But we have an option here in Tag Maker that allows us to do this thing automatically. You can set this up to build twice every time you click this button here. You can see that in the documentation for